Welcome back to Relationships at Work, your guide to building workplace connections and avoiding leadership blind spots. I'm your host, Russell Lolliker, a communications and leadership expert with a couple of decades of experience in both those areas and a whole heap of curiosity, just like you, on how we can make the workplace a better place. If you're a leader trying to understand and improve your impact on work culture and the employee experience, you have found yourself in the right place. It is Thursday. That is when we drop our mini episodes of the show. These are just quick, valuable bits of information to shift your mindset for the week ahead. They're all inspired by the Raw Note newsletter, which I highly encourage you pick up. If you're not already a subscriber, thank you very much if you are. And what we're lining up today, I'm asking the question, is leadership culture broken? Today will be a little different, as I want to pose a hypothesis, a question, a thought, a thesis. I'm getting academic. I've been mulling over it for a long time, actually, and I really hope we have an answer eventually. I'm curious about your thoughts. Absolutely email me. You always can at hello@russelllolliker.com. The question I have is leadership culture just broken? We focus on the individuals, we focus on how we could be better as leaders, and we can. It's a constant, continual learning and professional development journey that we have to be on. It just is the only way to be better for our organizations, our cultures, those we're in charge of. But is the system just already so broken that our efforts might take a long time to really resonate? Sorry, I don't want to be a downer here, but the more conversations I have and articles I read, the more I see a fundamental problem with organizational leadership and how it's set up. And it's really going to take effort, our effort, to make that change. I'm looking at this as a problem split into two: the executive level and the emerging leader level. Basically, the top and bottom of our established leadership cycle, it's fractured. And there's a real need to think and act differently to address it. So let's start at the top, at the very top, generally the C-suite, as it were. There's a lot of discussion and focus on executive leadership programs. You can do a quick little Google. You can go on Threads, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. You'll see a mountain of executive leadership training. Not just leadership training, executive leadership training. This is a very common service that consultancies are providing. Basically, it's to provide those individuals with soft skills and to develop that which they haven't really gotten through the majority of their career. As we've talked about a lot on the show, most leaders don't get any leadership training when they are put in these positions of responsibility. There are tons of studies showing that we are just ignoring leaders when we put them in those positions and then we grow them into the executive roles. And that's when they suddenly get this leadership training. Research published by the Harvard Business Review, you've heard of them, found that the average age that first-time leaders are put in that role is 30 years of age. But their first leadership training doesn't happen until their 40s. Charteris Management Institute calls many of them accidental managers. 82% pushed into roles without proper training. So once they get to that executive leadership level, people are, quote unquote, important enough to now get that training, have that money invested, take that time that they've been so thoroughly lacking or prioritizing. But why? No, really, why? They're successful without it. We have to now prove to them that they should get all this soft skill, all this training, when we're already paying them a lot more than everybody else. We're already giving them power. We're giving them authority. Once these individuals are at the executive level, they've been rewarded, they've been promoted without having these soft skills. Our cultures supported their journey up the corporate ladder without them having to learn how to foster a healthy culture, create new leaders, or improve employee engagement. Some do it naturally, but our organizations show them that it's not as important as being productive, as fixing other people's problems, or knowing the right people. So why would or should they take that training really seriously? What's the incentive? They've never needed it before, they've never pursued it before, or they'd already have these skills, or be in training programs throughout their entire employee journey. Success has been achieved through pay and opportunity. And on the bottom half, I hate looking at this like a hierarchy, but let's look a little lower down the corporate ladder to those emerging leaders. There are many that are getting those first-time leadership roles at this stage. 30, as it says from Harvard Business Review. They're eager to become the leader that they never had, to model great leadership, to be a sponge for better practices. They are looking for development opportunities that come their way. They're seeing words like Brené Brown, Simon Sinek. This is how you should lead. Great. Let's invest in training, in leadership development, in personality tests, in conferences. It's all great. But then those eager leaders see who gets promoted. They see the behaviors that get rewarded. And it's not the great leadership behaviors like creating other leaders. It's the ones that are productive or fix other people's problems or know the right people. So what are we defining as leadership? We're defining that as leadership to those emerging leaders. If you want to get ahead, it isn't about soft skills. It's about fixing people's problems and so forth and so on. So as great as it is and will be to have those human skills, it's not typically the train to success. It's certainly not what's being modeled or highlighted. This always leads me back to the importance of definitions, and leadership is such a prime example of this. Of course, there are definitions if you go to Google, but what is the definition according to your company? What is the type of leadership that is rewarded and promoted? That is the definition. Regardless of what it says on a poster, regardless of what it said on that TED Talk you liked so much, what is rewarded and promoted? So at the top, they don't need to be better leaders because they haven't needed to be for their success. And the emerging leaders want to become better, but see that to make money and move up, that's not the priority. It's this other thing that's a priority, the behaviors that get rewarded and promoted. Of course, not every organization is like this. Of course not. But sadly, it does exist, and a lot more than we probably want to admit. And as leaders, we can do better. You know we can do better. I know we can do better. We can rewrite this. We can rewrite this definition of leadership regardless of what is rewarded. And that comes with balancing that productivity with real leadership. I've been on Threads a lot lately, and people are screaming, begging for real leadership. Even if the organization they work for only favors that productivity side of leadership, they want this, they need this. And change can happen, even if it happens slowly. So I want to ask you, is that the kind of organization, the kind of leadership you want, regardless of what's rewarded, regardless of the success that's already been achieved? How are we defining leadership, even if the organization has a different one? It's up to us to control what we can control. So we can control our experience and what we know is great leadership for our teams. So is leadership culture broken? It is, but it doesn't have to be. And that is it. That will do it for another episode of Relationships at Work, your guide to building workplace connections and avoiding leadership blind spots. I hope you enjoyed my theoretical question and made you scratch your head about definitions and how we could maybe do a little bit better than what is before us in the organizations that we want to have a positive impact on our teams, on the culture, on everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you continue to ask yourself questions because curiosity is so key. I feel like I'm asking myself questions every single day, even if I don't know answers. At least it gets me to a path of not making assumption, and that's so key. All right, have a great day. It is always so great to talk to you. Take care.